I've been doing almost nothing but wiring for the last few weeks. You see I got a bunch of wiring supplies. I got cut up harnesses laying all over the place. But I'm about done with the Jimmy's engine harness. The thing with this was I didn't want to use the factory upper harness and then modify the body side to work as a standalone. I wanted to redo the whole thing because I don't like the way they look as like a factory pullout. I want to be able to actually see the valve covers. I didn't want these two big connectors. I didn't want the control modules on the engine. So I'm mounting all my control modules over here. There's the FICM glow plug module. The ECM will be down there. The TCM's up in here. I need to make brackets for all those. But they're all wired up. This is my fuse box. Let's see, I've made a lot of LS swap harnesses. This is the first one I've done for a Duramax, and it got a little busier than I wanted down here, which would have been easier if I'd had all the right terminals to just run the wires from one control module to the next to crimp new terminals on, but I was starting at either end and then working towards the middle, soldering them together, and I had to have enough length to get the braided loom on them and stuff. So some of this is just folded back on itself, and I wanted it all in one bundle, and it's multiple, but I think it looks much better because up top I've got the crank and cam sensor, alternator, MAF, temp sensor. I put a 3-wire temp sensor in, so I've got a wire for the gauge. And I eliminated the injector connectors, ran completely new wire to the injectors. And then a couple fuel connectors, boost pressure. So once everything's back together, everything's all powder coated nice, and I've kind of zip tied some stuff, I think it'll look pretty damn good. But that should all run about there once my accessories are back on. You can actually see my valve covers. The only thing that's going to be over them is the injector lines. So I want to zinc, I'll probably like yellow zinc coat all the fuel lines. And I want to paint this red, so I think I'll do the valve covers red to match. So I think it'll look real nice, plus it's a lot more serviceable. If I ever need to do injectors, I just got to take my lines off and then pull the valve covers off. So today I was connecting all my wires in the fuse box. I've got to add a few here. The transmission wiring is already running through the fender. This that goes to the firewall, I'm going to run through the fender, and then all of these need to go through the firewall. I've got the cruise control wires, the throttle pedal wires, a couple data lines that need to get spliced together under the dash with the transmission control module and go to the OBD2 port. Oh yeah, these need to come through the firewall. This is a transfer case harness. I've got the control module, the buttons. There's only a few wires that need to be connected. Like this needs power. There's one other that needs power. A couple go to ground. And I don't really want to mount that O2 style button somewhere because it's big and bulky, but I was looking at the diagrams and this is like 16 up. Each position has the same resistor value as when you push these buttons. The difference being those are momentary and this would be all the time, which I don't see why that would be a problem. Because if you hop in one of these trucks and push the button and it goes into that mode, if you just hold the button, it seems to be fine. So I'd much rather mount this somewhere than mount that. But really, it doesn't even have to be this. It could be any 4-position switch I could wire in the appropriate resistors. So I think this was my wiper switch, something like this. Some of these, this just had lights and wiper. Some of them had lights and wiper over here and a choke over there. So I could have my lights and wiper, get a matching knob, stick something through here, and label the 4-wheel drive modes. It'd be nice to have it match. And these did not have cruise control switches on the turn signal lever, but I have a tilt column out of a motorhome that does. This is what I'm planning to use in this. And for the throttle pedal, this comes through the stock firewall, so I could connect those to this connector, but then I would have all this through the firewall. These need to come through the firewall. Then the cruise and the data line still need to come through. So I don't want to stick that through the firewall. I want to stick all those wires together through, and then I'll just pin them into that connector. I still need to decide where to mount a battery and where to run a battery cable. I don't want a battery under the hood. I'm thinking about putting it either in front of or behind the wheel well inside. I don't necessarily need two because this is going to be a summertime ride. I don't ever want to put the top on. One should start up fine when the temps are warm. So I was thinking run a battery cable along my frame, mount one of these somewhere so that I can run a cable to the starter, run one to the alternator, run another little one over to my fuse box. Then I'll probably need another one over here And then I can run one to the glow plug module. This is the power to the key switch, and then when you turn the key on, it comes back through here. So I need to connect this to power and then connected this to all the fuses that are hot with the key on. But I've got a good portion of the wiring done, enough to start this. So I need to do my fuel system. I've got 2 tanks in the back that I need to build mounts for, mount my fast pump somewhere, run fuel hoses. And I sold the ups and down pipe to a guy who needed them before I put this engine in here. And I don't want to put my new exhaust on yet, so I guess I'll take those off and put it on enough to run it. And then when I take this all back apart to paint it, I've got new manifolds and new pipes. I'm trying to decide what to coat the manifolds with, because I had some jet coated locally and that didn't hold up very well. So I was looking at Cerakote and their high temp coatings, and you can spray them at home, so I think I'm going to try that. But I'll get this thing to run, drive, and stop with the stock exhaust, and then when I take it apart to paint it, I'll clean up the engine, powder coat a bunch of stuff, put my new exhaust on. Oh yeah, I've been building this harness too. This is the supercharged engine for my 2000 Silverado, so it's about halfway done. I was waiting on connectors and terminals, so I need to finish this. But once this will drive out of here, I need to free up shop space. I need to make that thing drive out of here also. The floor's already painted, the suspension's all powder coated. I need to finish the firewall so I can put the engine and transmission in. And I've got everything for the short block and the transmission, but I need to buy heads and valve train and headers still, so I need to throw some money at that car to get it to drive out of here. But if I can get both of these to move under their own power, pull them out, get some of these engines where they're going, then these 2 bays will be freed up. Somebody used to paint in that 3rd bay a long time ago. You can see that board on the ceiling, you hung a curtain or something there, and there's a hole in the wall where there was a fan. But I can drop something down on this side, then I'll have both of those bays, hang some more plastic. I'm gonna upgrade the fan that was in the wall there. That one's old and I don't think it works anyway. And then I guess maybe crack the one door, or maybe both doors, put some filters in there, and then have the fan in the wall. But I can rig up a paint booth in these 2 bays so that I can paint these. But getting the Jimmy done is my priority. I have been shuffling in some other stuff here and there. People give me crap all the time. They're like, oh, just finish one. And I'm like, well, yeah, but sometimes you got to work on some other stuff. Like, I'm trying to finish this, but, you know, life gets in the way. There's not a whole lot more money to spend on this, though, because I need to shorten the drive shaft. That's pretty cheap. Paint, just powder coat and stuff for the engine parts. And then paint supplies to paint it are not that much money. I can do the interior later. I'm going to need to spend a few grand to get that thing to move under its own power, though. If you saw my Suburban video, I'm surprised that this swap is actually easier with the Jimmy. This is on a newer Suburban frame. But I'm happy with the height that I got it, and there's plenty of hood clearance. There's plenty of clearance for the fans, radiator, and intercooler, and I can still get the grill on, and the hood closes. The Suburban, on the other hand, if you look at it next to my 67, you wouldn't think that engine bay is smaller, but it's a lot harder to fit all of that around the engine and radiator. So there's still a lot of time-consuming little stuff to do to get this thing to move under its own power, but the bulk of the wiring is done, and that's real time-consuming. So hopefully I can get this to move in the next few months.